everybody, I'm Tish Hicks, the Master Sensei of the VO Dojo, and we are here at Apogee Studios in Santa Monica, California with Joey Nader and George Williams of Apogee. And they have put together an amazing experience of all sorts of ways that we can use their products and know a lot about just tech in general and audio recording, making it not scary, super fun, and super affordable and super high quality, which is what Apogee is known for. So there we go.
So HypeMics are pretty simple, but they do come in a really compact little traveling case. As such, it's useful to know how to get it back into its appropriate form. What's that?
What is this here?
This is just a little pocket that we use for the additional cables. HypeMic comes with things for connecting to iPhones, into PCs, USB-C or USB-A. So it's just a place of stashing all the cables. So
okay. So I've been using my iPhone, so should I take it out so I can see?
Yeah, you can absolutely try with your iPhone.
Yeah, what I would recommend is if you're going to be recording onto your iPhone, we mentioned that app Meta Recorder yesterday.
Yeah, so I want to download that first.
Yeah, let's start by downloading that so we have something to record into.
Okay.
So we'll go in here. It's okay if I hit the install for you?
Yeah, and then I'll put in the password.
Awesome. Yeah, just a really simple application that allows us to record audio into our phone. And what's cool about it is if you do stuff with video production or self-tapes, there's a whole lot of stuff you can do to kind of organize that stuff as you're shooting. So like, let's say it takes 10 takes and then you're like, that 10th take, oh man, I killed that.
Mm-hmm.
It allows you to then mark that so that way you're not having to
go through the whole thing.
And listen to it all later on.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
And then it's going to need to see one of these HypeMics in order to start working. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have you put this guy together real quickly. I can either show you that or I can have you do it and kind of walk you through it. What do you prefer?
Well, I think you better do it. I don't want to fumble.
You're not gonna do
I want to look like it's being done with ease. See how easy it is to do this? Yeah, let's do that.
So typically the way I would go about it is start out with the actual stand itself, kind of work from the bottom up, so to speak. That part then threads into this, which is the microphone adapter. Mm-hmm. By the way, if you ever need to put this onto an external mic stand,
yes,
this piece here at the bottom, what I'm threading into, it just pulls out. And so if you have like a quarter, or
when you say pulls out, it pops out to
I'll show you exactly. Okay. So I've got a guitar pick here. These tend to work well for this.
Oh.
Use a quarter or a coin, anything like that.
But essentially,
these little things will come out.
Oh, and it comes with a little wrench to help you. Okay. Oh.
And the idea is if you need to mount it onto a conventional mic stand, that's your mic stand adapter.
Okay, so just take this off and don't lose that. Okay.
Exactly. We want to keep it on here just for the sake of making it super easy because it'll then make it so that it goes onto the tripod that's included with it because it's got a little smaller thing on there than you would see on a conventional mic stand.
I see. Okay.
There we go. So we'll thread it right into it. And then the only thing that I think is tricky about the HypeMic when you're first putting it together is where the actual pop filter goes. Because I think people know what this is, but people don't always figure out exactly where it should go. Key part of it is here is that you've got this part that's going to go to your microphone itself. In order to make sure that we're not scratching up the mic, what we'll do is we'll take this piece, we'll just rotate it off. So it comes right off. And we're going to put the pop filter behind it.
Put it on first.
Yeah, technically it'll come together the other way, but just to keep everything nice and shiny and, you know, as good as it can be going forward, this is the most ideal way of putting it together. Okay. So once we got the pop filter on, I'm ready to get the microphone itself. Again, same thing, those little screw threads are all the same.
Oh, okay.
Just rotate it on clockwise. Once you feel it getting some tension there, we're pretty good. And then the way that this guy works is this little screw here is what's going to allow us to change the position of the microphone.
Oh, okay.
So in order to use it, you'll notice there's like a little nook there where this can kind of pivot down into.
Oh, okay.
It's going to help us get a good speaking angle for it. Once I've got that in there and it's locked in, then we'll work on getting the pop filter to be between you and the microphone. That way, if there's any harsh consonants going on, it's not having that air shoot at the mic and make a negative sound. And then all we're going to do, take the little legs, pop them out, And that's your voice.
Okay.
Or some people's hold it sometimes, like
Yeah,
hold the
that's true.
microphone. You can
If
do
you
it
wanted
that
to do
way
a
as well.
handheld podcast,
You can
Yeah.
do that.
totally viable to do this as a handheld thing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just beware with the large diaphragm condenser. These guys are very sensitive, so if you do have a lot of times you're moving your hand around, you can sometimes hear that in the recording, but it's also why it sounds really good. Next thing is we need to get it into whatever we're going to record in. So if
It'll
you grab
probably
your
be
microphone-
this.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it could be a tablet, right?
It could be anything.
Okay.
Luckily, the HypeMics are extremely compatible. So as long as it is able to deal with a USB or a lightning cable,
Mm-hmm.
it can work with it.
So these are the two cables, and one might fit a tablet and the other might fit an iPhone.
Correct. So if you've got like something like an iPad these days, those guys use USB-C as their way of connecting to it. If you got an iPhone, you use Lightning for it, which looks like this. You can tell because that little white
'cause the bridge
contact
is
on
there.
the end. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yep.
You got it. That side goes into that. We can undo that zip tie, and the other side will go into your mic. It'll be right
It's
on the
under
other
there?
side here, so we can just pick that up, make it so it's easy to view it.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yay.
And then we can tell that it got connected to because you'll see that these little lights start to operate and light up in front of us.
Mhm.
So these are going to tell us a couple things. That blue is just saying, hey, I see the phone, I see the computer.
Mhm.
And then when it gets to the point where it shows green here, this is now reacting to the level. So you'll notice when I'm snapping, it kind of like flashes at us.
Mhm.
It's because it's responding to the input level,
Okay.
which is pretty useful if you're getting started because one of the first things we got to do before we get recording is set our
Mhm.
levels, right?
Got to set on levels. Do I have to do anything with this first before I do the levels?
No, we'll
This,
set the level first and then we'll take a look at the
how
software.
do we know what the level is? Is it going to
Well,
be?
actually, that's the interesting thing. So
Oh.
on this guy,
Okay.
we're going to see it based on that light. So
Oh.
the light itself is going to tell us how much level we've got going on.
Mhm.
And then this little slider here is going to allow us to add more or less. So now when I'm snapping,
It's red.
it's red, right?
Mhm.
And that's what we know we want to avoid.
Where's the marker that shows me where I'm at, like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock?
Good question.
Is there a
This
little
one
dial?
doesn't have an exact dial. And the reason why is that this knob can be used for various things in the HypeMic.
Oh,
So it's what we call an encoder knob. It doesn't have
Oh.
specific values. It controls whatever the
the
particular
situation
function
is.
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, I'll just do it a little large.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go. And then we'll try again, see if we're still in that good range.
Hello, I'm Angel Harper, and I live in Hollywood, California.
I think we're looking pretty good on that. So now I think we're almost ready to get started and do some test recordings here. So on your phone,
I'll
It's
ask
got-
one last question about
yeah,
this.
what you got?
I know that you said that it goes green to red, but
Mhm.
is there ever a yellow?
Yeah, there can be a yellow. So if we change our
Because I'm
settings
just thinking
up
now,
a bit,
maybe.
we can get to the point where we're just kind of between the two, where we're getting some amount of signal
That's
without
red.
going into red. But
Mm.
generally speaking, what we're trying to get is to the point where when we're speaking loudly, that's hitting with those three greens lit up, but not
Mhm.
getting into red.
Okay.
Like you mentioned earlier, sometimes it might be nice to see the signal different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll notice that not only does that light on the HypeMic show you the level, but also when it's connected up, you see that little green meter on the screen too.
Yes, I do. Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
And that was a place where you can also see that yellow versus red thing you were talking about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So for this part, one of the things that's kind of amazing about something like HypeMic is being able to hear your voice
Oh, you can put
as you're going through it.
You
Oh,
can
yeah.
put a.
There's a headphone adapter in there. So
Okay.
Exactly. So we're going to connect this into it.
Do
So
I
that
have
way
to
you're
buy a
actually able
special
to hear
type of
yourself.
headphone adapter?
Luckily not. If you've got any set of headphones that
Oh
have
my
that little
God.
1/8 inch, you're good to go.
Oh my God. Okay, that's good.
And for the sake of what we're using it for too, it's not
Yes.
that complex, you know.
Okay.
Headphones are used for all kinds of stuff inside of recording.
Oops, I turned it off, didn't I?
No, you're doing fine.
I thought I pressed the
You
same.
probably just type the compression setting is what we call it.
Okay.
That's not going to cause you any trouble. Actually, ironically enough,
And-
you're just very precocious. You went to the next step.
Okay. All right, here we go. So I
now
can
we-
put I can put up. Oh, so this is fantastic. I can put this and I can hear myself. Right.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing with this thing too. The next feature there, the button you press by accident there,
Mhm.
that is actually changing between the compression level settings. And so as you're recording, there are times you might want to record things completely dry, right? You
Yep.
might hear from your actual editor or producer, hey, we need to have this be completely unaffected because it's going to NBC. They're going to have their mixers deal with it, right?
Mhm.
But if you're doing something that's an audition that you know is not going to be processed at all, and you're like, I want to sound extra good.
Mm-hmm.
Then that would be the scenario where we might want to engage one of these compression settings, just because it'll do basically what a producer would do for you inside the studio.
And it has what, 3 levels?
Exactly. So when we're tapping on this button, you'll notice that it shows these kind of purple lights that come up.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the 3 compression settings, right? 0 lights means that's no compression. 1 light, little light compression, that's just taking care of any kind of excitement that's happening during the performance.
Mm-hmm.
2, which I would say is for most people, their kind of go-to setting for voiceover if they're doing a final edit without having someone else mix it.
They go to 2.
Yeah, it tends to be.
And the only reason you go to 3 is why?
Actually, funny enough, we're probably recording video this way right now. So when you're in a setting where you're trying to collect a lot of audio from various people and you're not able to necessarily closely mic it, you might use more compression to bring up the relative levels. And then the interface here is really, really simple. So all we have to do whenever you're ready to record is hit the red dot. Red dot's going to start a recording. Then we do our pass. The cool thing is the way that this is organized, if you mess up or stutter, like I tend to do this all the time when I'm tracking guitars, is I'll get a million takes where it's like, oh, the first note is the place I'm nervous, so I have to restart into the second take. That stuff is really easy here. When you hit record, it'll automatically turn into a stop button. If you hit stop button and do record, it automatically turns on the next take. So it's really meant to make it as quick as possible.
Okay. So
Yeah, you got
I'm
it.
just going to say, hi, this is Angel Harper, and I'm at Apogee Studio, and we're testing out my new travel mic. Okay, so now I'm going to do a take 2 just so I can see what that would be like, right?
And so the interface here, again, to do a second take, you don't have to worry about what you previously recorded. If you just hit record again, that gives you take 2.
Okay, we're doing take 2 at Apogee Studio to compare what we did in take 1 and to see how I would select my best take. That.
Perfect.
And then press here, right?
Yeah, you got it. And the stop just kind of finalizes it. The pause would be, let's say, if I'm doing a narration where I then realize, oh, I need to turn a page or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, we're doing take 2 at Apogee Studio to compare what we did in take 1 and to see how I would select my best take.
It's the best. It's the best.
But when we're recording smaller tidbits, there's a couple ways we can organize it. So, for example, let's say we really love that second take, and we're like, I really prefer that second take over the first take. That's going to be my keeper. At that point, I can then double tap on that piece of audio, and it pulls up this menu of different options for it.
Okay, let me just pull this so I can see. Okay. And it says toggle favorite, keywords, delete, share. So also, if this is what I wanted to send to somebody, I would just press share.
Bingo.
And then I could send it out.
Yeah.
Is
It'll
it
integrate with all your apps too. So, if we're dealing with big audio files, tends to be they can get larger than sometimes an email will hold. If you've got something like Dropbox on your phone, it'll allow you to upload it into those kind of file services as well. But yeah, if you just wanted to email it or something like that, totally fine to do it through share. My favorite trick is when you do share, one of the ways you can do it if you're like we are, side by side. Now I was asking you for a copy. It'll also give the ability to airdrop.
Oh, that's really good. So I just press this.
Yeah, you got
and
it.
that means that I like the second take.
Bingo.
That's the one I want. And then if I do this again, how would and I want to share, then
You got it.
And it already says take 2.
Yep, it's take 2 is already organized here. So when we hit share, it'll then show us exactly which way we're going to deal with it.
Export original file, export as. I would never use this AAC.
It's a good question. So, and also, like, what the heck is an AAC, right?
Yeah.
But essentially, all that is we call audio files either the original or we call them compressed files.
Oh, I see.
And that's a different kind of compression, by the way, that we're talking about on the mic.
Okay.
But essentially, if it needs to be a small file that's portable, right? Like, let's say I'm trying to send it over to New York, right? And for some reason I can't do it through a file server like a Dropbox or something like that. I might actually try to do it through AAC if it's not going to be the final version of it, right? If I'm just trying to show like, hey, am I on the right path to this audition? Like from like an emotive standpoint, like am I getting the character right? I might decide to do that through sending a lower quality file because it's not going to be the thing that they ultimately upload and syndicate and all that, right? So if it's going to be a temporary thing, we'll do AC. Otherwise, we'll do original.
And then I could send it to myself. I'm just going to send it to myself just so I can see what would happen. Oh, there it is. and then send it to myself. Okay. And then this is sent as a WAV file or MP3? That's the other question.
WAV file, correct.
It is a WAV file. So if after I send it to myself, I decide I do want to do any kind of editing on it, I can do it then.
Exactly. And that's why we care about the difference of those quote unquote original versus compressed files, because it tends to be that if we want to edit it, we want to have the full quality available to us.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sold. You want my credit card now?
All right. Well, killer. So that is the iPhone with Meta Recorder and the HypeMic. One of the other pieces of software you're also going to get for free with having the HypeMic is something called First Take. So for that part of it, actually, this might be kind of fun to do together. We've got a couple different microphones hooked up here. And what we'll do real quickly is I'm going to grab a little bit of copy for us. And we'll do a quick read through.